right. Awesome. So we will get started. If people join in, they'll join in as they come. So thanks for being here. Let's see. We are going to talk about website mistakes and how to fix them. So let me share my screen and hopefully everyone can see that. Yeah. Okay. So there's a few key factors that you're going to want to consider when you're building or rebuilding your website that are going to enhance your trust and authority and also increase the chances that someone's going to buy from you. So we all know the things, the technical aspects of a website, like it needs to be fast and have good SEO and be mobile friendly and all these things, but we're going to go beyond some of that stuff and look at more of the psychological triggers that people need to buy from you. So take some notes. I can share these slides later as well if you want access to them, but I'll be covering a lot of points. So just be sure you take some notes so you can implement some stuff later. And if you stick around to the end, I also have a free offer for you and something else to give you at the end. So anyway, here's what I'm going to be covering today. So, of course, the mistakes that a lot of websites I see out there are making, some fixes that you can implement, and examples that go with those so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. We're going to have some time for you to ask me a question and just maybe ask me about your own website. And of course, at the very end, there's going to be that offer that you can download from me. So, I hate webinars that blather on about the person, but I do have to quickly introduce myself. Oh, welcome, Claudia. Good to see you. Just to quickly introduce myself. So you're like, who the heck is this person telling me all this stuff about my website? So I'm Angela. I am a brand strategist and a web designer and the founder of Be Bold Branding. And I have over 2 decades of experience elevating brands of business professionals and helping them to stand out online. And as we discussed, if you were here at the opening here, I live in beautiful Calgary with my rambunctious 7-year-old kiddo and my husband and my dog Otis, who's got kicked out today because he has been barking all morning, and Milo, who's a cat, who are the best of frenemies. So just a little bit about me. Okay. And with that, we're going to get started. So here we go. Mistake number one that I see on websites is not capturing people's attention right away. So people have a very short attention span. We know that. But if you didn't know, you only have about 7 seconds before a visitor who's on your website decides whether they're going to stay or leave. So the main area you want to consider is called above the fold. And this is an old newspaper terminology. Well, I guess they still sell newspapers. When you fold the newspaper, of course, that first headline has to be really catchy and curiosity inducing, right? So we want that above the fold area before anyone scrolls to grab their attention. And if it's confusing, they are just going to leave. So it's just like when you're pitching yourself at a networking event, you want that to grab attention, right? If it's hard to find what they're looking for, the statistics tell us that 60% of people are not going to keep looking, they're just going to leave. So think of this area as like if you're taking a road trip, you're driving from California to Florida, you're going to want signs along the way to let you know, hey, you're actually heading east, right? So think of this as your road sign, where let them know they're in the right place. So the above the fold is gold. I tell people it's the highest real estate value on your website. So it's important to use it wisely. All right. So how do we solve this problem? So we want to let visitors know they've landed on the right solution, and we want to answer these questions. So these are questions you're going to want to write down. So what is it? What is the product or service you're selling? Who is it for? If you can call out that audience, like who are you selling this for? Who do you do this for specifically? Why should they care? So there should be some reason of differentiation or some calling out of the outcomes that you're going to produce, right? Because we all are focused on ourselves, right? That's just the way it is. We are always asking, what's in it for me, right? And how do I get it? So you need to tell them what steps to take to buy from you. So you want to answer these 4 key questions clearly, yes, but also in a memorable way, like using your own brand voice and the way your brand would speak. And that's really important too, so you don't sound generic and like everybody else. And for the how do I get it? This is like a button, a call to action. Buy now, sign up for my training, book a free call to action. And it's important in this area, but it's also important to be sprinkled throughout the landing page or the home page. And we'll talk a bit more about that later. Also, vague calls to action don't work as well. So learn more, see more. They're not generally as effective because I don't know what's going to happen when I click that, right? It's not very definitive for me. So I'm going to get into some examples just to show you both sides here. So I didn't want to throw any shade at anyone, so I covered up names. But if you're looking at this above the fold section, so this is before we start scrolling, I don't really know what she does, right? Practice makes braver. Are you a coach? Are you a piano teacher? I'm not really sure. And then that call to action, see more. I don't really know. Am I going to see a video? Am I going to see like a case study? What is that? I don't really know if this is for me. So I'm probably not going to keep scrolling. Another example like this is create distinction. Okay, so we've got a photo here. Maybe it's a clue. He does something with video, maybe a public speaking coach, video producer. I have no idea still. And even worse, there's no call to action here. So, I have to keep scrolling. You're making me work. You're making me think. The brain is a calorie conserving thing. It doesn't want to have to think. It doesn't want to have to guess what we're talking about. So, okay. Now, I'm not the end all and be all of everything, but I thought I'd put my website in here as an example because I try to hit all these questions when I'm doing my own site or other clients' websites. So I have a headline. So you'll see the hierarchy too. Everything doesn't have to be the same size or screaming at you. Blending in is boring. It's time to be bold. So it's about them, right? It's like saying, what is the value here? And then I continue, get more clients saying, hell yeah, to working with you. And then I call out who it's for. So bold brand strategy and what I actually do. Bold brand strategy, messaging, and website design for coaches and consultants launched in just one day. And then there's the call to action, schedule a free brand fit call. So what am I wanting them to do? And it's all in there. It doesn't have to be in the certain order, excuse me, but it does have to capture their attention and sort of draw them down to read more each time you're creating a new paragraph. So another few examples here that are really good. So we know, it says right here, content strategy and copywriting. We know what you do. Awesome. Get words with results. So that's a benefit to me. This is why I should care. It's time to create better content, get better content. So she's telling me what to do and let's talk. So obviously I'm going to schedule some kind of consultation with her, and she's a copywriter. It's very clear, very obvious, very engaging. Another good example is Ahrefs. So your digital marketing strategy backed by real actionable data. I know what they're doing, digital marketing strategy, right? I know what I'm getting. I know why they're different. So they're not just throwing spaghetti at the wall, they're backing it by data, and they're calling me to sign up. I've just got one more example to show you just to kind of get the gist of it. Get a website that makes you proud. So again, it's about the customer, right? And it's about what they're looking for. So website design, of course, experience our live design process and get a professional Squarespace website. So it's even specifically calling out that they design Squarespace. So if you're in the market for that type of website, you'll know you're in the right place. And they want you to meet with a designer. So very easy to understand what's going on here. So if you look at your own above the fold, like maybe not do it now, but later, look at your above the fold section and ask yourself, does it answer all 4 of these questions? And would the visitor know within 7 seconds of landing on your website if they're in the right spot for them? Okay. All right, mistake number 2 that I see, no calls to action. So calls to action are your website's cash registers. They're how you're going to make the money. They're gonna, how your people are going to book you, and they're how people are going to get on your calendar. So this is amazing to me, but 70% of sites don't ask visitors to take any action. And so there's 2 types of visitors you're going to get on your website. And surprisingly, only 3% of them are ready to buy right now. And there's a remaining 97% that need nurturing. So that is the untapped gold mine. We're going to talk a bit about that in a second here. So the solution is to create both active and passive calls to action. I'll explain a bit more about that in a minute here. The active calls to action are like book a call now, buy now, like the 3% of the people that are ready to go for it. You want something for them to do. Okay. But we all think about that, but we don't often think about the 97% that are not ready to buy, but they will be soon, perhaps. So what you want to do is have a passive call to action for these folks. So something valuable that you're going to offer in exchange for their email. It might be a course, a mini course, a free ebook, a workshop like this one, newsletter subscription, some kind of trial to give them. So the idea is you want to give before you ask. And this does a few things. One, it makes them feel valued, and it creates a feeling of reciprocity. And 2, it positions you as the expert. It shows your expertise because it gives them a quick win, right? And it keeps you top of mind is the 3rd thing. So the thing to remember here is that we're not trying to sell right away to this 97% because they're not warm enough yet, right? So something good I like to say is the temperature of your marketing message, it should match the temperature of your audience. So don't go guns blazing at them. You want to warm them up. And you want to warm them up with your expertise. And I often hear clients say, well, I don't want to give away too much. I don't want to give away all my ideas. But the reality is that anyone can Google or even chat GPT anything now, right? So the information is out there. We just live in that age. But someone will remember your generosity, and they will remember you for your expertise. And that creates that feel good feeling in them that will make them want to buy from you as time goes on. So another thing to remember when you're doing this is that it creates a whole lot of, you need a whole lot of touch points in order to get someone to move from cold to warm to hot as a client. So it takes like 7 to 11 touch points. It's always growing. This number, I always hear it changing as I'm hearing about marketing, statistics, but it takes a whole lot. So don't be afraid to bug them. They've elected to be in your newsletter, right? And they can always take off. They can always unsubscribe. So as long as you're offering high value and it's them focused, they're going to stick around. They're going to remember you. So the goal is to wow them with this experience, thinking, wow, if I got this from them for free, what can they do for me if I hire them, right? So how many of you, just raise your hand, do you have both passive and active calls to action on your website? Vera does. Lindsay? Okay. Yeah, it's definitely something that can help you step up the game. I just want to show a cool example of something that I learned a little while ago. So this guy named Louis Engel, back in 1946, he was hired to run the advertising and promotions at Merrill Lynch. And he took an unorthodox approach at that time, which resulted in thousands of leads for Merrill Lynch brokers nationwide, actually. So how did he do it? So everyone else was just screaming about their services. Hire us. We're great. We're this, we're that. So he, instead of doing that, he took out an ad in the paper because that's what they had back then. They didn't have social media, but he presented like a case study about what you need to know about stocks and bonds, and presented really useful information for someone interested in investing, right? So he presumed that most readers glancing at a brokerage ad knew very little about stocks and bonds, and he wanted to educate them. He provided some valuable information. So they didn't think it was going to work. They're like, "You're crazy. This is not going to work." But they let him run with it, and it actually brought more than 5,000 requests for more information for them. So this is kind of where that idea stemmed from. I didn't know this until recently, but I thought that was kind of cool. So it really does work because, again, our favorite subject is us, and same for your website visitors. So if you make it about them, they're more likely to respond. Okay, just some bonus ideas here on freebies. So when you're creating that passive call to action, you want to think about the title. So the title is the most important thing that's going to grab someone's attention. They're 5 times more likely to read that headline than anything else that's on the page. So you want to make it so that it's something that's enticing to them. What's that pants on fire problem, right? How can you create that curiosity and answer that question I have here, that's what's in it for me? We're always thinking about that as we're writing for our visitor. So what's their most immediate burning problem that you can offer relief, that you can be like, hey, I can solve, like there's several steps in what I do, but here's something I know you're dealing with right now, and I'm going to help put out that fire. What is that? You also prime them to be a great client. When you're sort of prepping them, they've already got that little piece figured out, then they're going to be more ready to step into your funnel and become a great client because they're already primed and ready to work with you. So let me give you some examples of good and better headlines. So how to create a financial plan. Okay, well, that might be interesting to me, but something better is 7 surprising things you must know before hiring a financial planner. So this creates curiosity, right? Oh, it's surprising things, and it's quantified. There's 7 things, and then I must know it before hiring a financial planner. So it's like before you even do this, it just creates some urgency and puts a big question mark in my head. Like, what are these things? What could they possibly be? I want to know, right? The idea here is, of course, to be truthful. We don't want to be clickbaity, and clickbait is just when you're promising something and you're not delivering on it. So as long as you're delivering on this, it's fine to be a little bit more sensational, right? I also recently discovered that the highest paid writers are writers of tabloid headlines and articles, which is hilarious to me. All right, here's another example. How to meet men versus make him beg to be your boyfriend in 6 simple steps. Right? So what's more engaging, the left or the right? So I think the one on the right has a lot more curiosity for me, and it's simple steps. Oh, it's something I can do simply. Right. I'm probably going to get right on that. Oops. All right. So that's calls to action. Moving right along here. So number 3 problem that I see on websites is using industry specific terms and jargon and terminology that your visitor might not understand. So we all have that curse of knowledge. We know too much, and we use our industry jargon that they just don't get, they don't understand, and they don't really care either. Again, it's not focused on them, it's focused on us. So yeah, they don't care about you. They're going to bounce, or they're going to just be confused and leave. So what we want to do instead is we want to simplify the language, and use the terminology that the client uses and understands. So if you don't know what that is, talk to your customers, or like on sales calls, make sure you're taking notes about that and write down what words do they use. Like for Vera, I know her clients use, I'm overwhelmed. I want to hit the reset button, things like that. So she uses that terminology as well on her website, which is a great idea. You might be surprised to learn that we usually read, this should say read instead of write. We usually read at a 5th grade level, and that's kind of the level of comfort that's sort of universal for everybody. You should aim to not write much higher than that, because it ends up sounding kind of snooty and not relatable. And most people just read at that level. They're just more comfortable reading at that level. So one good thing that you can do when you get off this webinar is go to your website. And I don't know what is on a PC, but on a Mac, if you hit Command F, that's the find feature on any browser. So I'm sure there's an equivalent on PC, but it'll type in Command F and then search for I or we versus you or your, and see how the count ratio is. So if you're leaning way towards the me or I or we side versus the you or your, then you know you have a problem on your website where it's too you centric versus customer centric. So you're going to want to change that and shift the focus to the customer and still talking about you, but in a way that is like, what's in it for me through that lens. So let's see. Yeah, that's all I have to say about that. Okay, so let me show you a couple of examples of a before and after for a client. So on the left, it was really about him and what I do. So we help you move your 401k funds to your business. Let me help you get it done without risk. Okay, well, that's okay. But on the right, we revamped his website and we focused the message on the client. So don't put your dreams on hold. Finance your own business with your own money. Use your 401k or IRA to finance your own business and start out debt free, and then schedule a consultation versus get started. So that's really vague, right? This is more specific what I'm doing. Also, bonus tip is help them dream a little. Use emotional language if you can, and help them dream a little. People, we think we're really logical, but we actually buy based on emotion, and we back up our purchases with logic. So help them feel something, and that'll help you, win them over more. So another example, again, focus on us on the left. Welcome to Tax Pros, like us. We're proactive, personalized, professional. Cool. No call to action either. I mean, there's a phone number at the top right, but that's about it. So when we worked with this client, we, figured out through her brand strategy, like, what are you all about? What makes you special? Why do clients love working with you? What do they say? And what do you love to do? And let's combine all that and repackage your offerings. And so she told me that, she loves to not just do the tax work, and then see ya for a whole year. She loves to work with them throughout the year to really help them in their business, in their life, keep more money in their pocket and make their life better, and working with them as more of a consultant. So looking not only in their past, but to their future. So we came up with this sort of like tagline: designing your future, not just accounting for your past. Expert tax planning, so you can focus on what really matters, your life and your work. So it's aspirational, right? There's emotional language there. There's what's in it for me. And it just really is about the client. It's them focused and apply now. She wanted to make it more of a elite service. So it was the application process is what we came up with to make it sound like, not, she doesn't just work with anyone, and she doesn't. There is a bit of a process to work with her. So that's how we elevated her brand and got those higher level clients contacting her. Okay. And do write down your questions as we're going along here. I will have time for that at the end to answer all those. Okay, second to last here. So focusing on services instead of outcomes. I see this a lot. A lot of websites just plonk down, hey, we do this and this and this. We do coaching or carpet cleaning or whatever it is, instead of the outcomes that you create. So leading with services and features, that's easily copied. Anyone can say that they do that. It makes you a commodity. People are just end up comparing you on price. Again, it's not client focused. And if there's no testimonials, or they're on their own page, that people don't see the outcomes that you have, and testimonials really speak to outcomes. We do have to talk about our services, but firstly, we want to talk about the outcomes, the stuff people really care about, because they have a burning problem. and they want to know, is this the right person? Can they solve my problem? Do they get me? Right? So we want to show them that first. So rather than just putting our services on there and calling it a day, they're interested in the transformations you provide. So show them you empathize with them. Maybe you've been where they are. Tell that story, right? We connect with story. Tell them you know their struggles and show them the other side of it. Show proof of your work through case studies, testimonials, videos, whatever you've got. And don't make the mistake as well of putting that on a standalone page. Nobody will go there. Get them where they're at as they're scrolling through your site. Just sprinkle them throughout. Just catch them where they are. They're trying to evaluate what you can do for them and if you're the right fit. Yeah, and make the client the star of the testimonial. Here's an example that I really like. I love this coach, Anna Rapp. She's got a really great website and she incorporates all this stuff really well. It's hard to see on the left here, so I kind of zoomed in a few of the sections. So this first section here is, I think she's offering a lead magnet here. But yeah, it's something to solve a burning problem that is happening right now in the business. So love this language. Let's get you from frustrated to fully booked. Like, she's speaking to where they are right now, right? And then this story here, again, it's kind of hard to read, but it's her story, or it's the client's story as well as her story, and it's interwoven. And like, let me guess, you've got a bucket list of so long that you created in your business, but so you could have more freedom and financial abundance for your family, and yet you can't help but think, what's taking so long, right? So she's empathizing with where you are right now. She knows, she's done her research, and she's speaking right to the heart of that client, which I love. So again, it's talking about what she's doing, but in a way that's focused on them. And then after that story, she does have her services here, which I didn't zoom in on, but they talk just a little bit about the benefit that you'll get when you work with her. And then she does have a testimonial here, and then another one down here. And then again, in between, she's got, this is above her services, ready to make more money and impact, how we can work together. So calling out like what you're going to get from my services is not just, this is my service, buy it. What am I going to get? What's in it for me? So she's really got a good lens on that. And focused on the customer versus her, but interweaving what she does so you're not confused as to what she does and how she can help you. Okay, last point I want to make. So, lack of process. So, if a visitor likes what they see, but they're maybe confused about what it looks like to work with you, they're not quite sure, what's this going to look like? How long is it going to take? What are the steps? They might bounce too. So, having either no process or a complex one can deter them. So we want to make it really clear. So again, a confused visitor, they take no action, they leave. So what we want to do instead is take your process and really trim it down to the bare essentials that someone needs to know. So if you have a really elaborate process, that's great. That's for you to know, but make it really simple for someone seeing you for the first time, understand what it looks like to work with them. So outline a simple, straightforward process. 1, 2, 3 steps is ideal. If it has to be 4 or 5, that's okay. But 3 is kind of where you want to land if you can. Just let them know what they're committing to without going into huge details. So a little title describing what it is, and then maybe 1 sentence description, just so they know what they're getting into, like contact us, set up a consultation, and start your project. Whatever those 3 steps are, and I have some examples here for clients that I did. So for that tax gal, how to work together, she had a little brief explanation, right? So first you're going to apply to work together, a little description of what that's like, choose your path, so a little description of what that is, and begin your planning journey. So, and over here on the right, for a psychology center, schedule your free consultation, find your perfect match, because they allow you to just do consults until you find the perfect psychologist that you'd like to work with, and embark on your healing journey. And that might be important to me, right? I might be like, well, how do I know I'm going to like this person? I'm going to be, sharing my utmost secrets with them or whatever. I'm pouring my heart out. I want to feel comfortable with them. Well, they've realized that this is an important point for their clients, is to be able to have that rapport. So they built that in. So that might comfort me and be the deciding factor of why I choose you versus another psychology center to work with. So give them that easy to follow process. And you don't see the button here, but also put a button to apply now, or whatever the first step is. That's your first step, is your call to action. That's going to go right below that as well. So that was a lot to take in, but in review, this is what you want. A few of the things you want on your website. So you want to capture attention immediately with that top of section, above the fold section. Secondly, you want a way to capture warm and cold leads. Thirdly, you want to focus on them. Fourth, you want to focus on the outcomes, not just the services that you provide. And number 5, you want to show the process of working with you. Phew. All right. So I hope that was helpful, and I've given you a few ways to make some improvements on your site when you get off the call today. So I would love for you to ask me any questions. We can look at your website. We can go over it together if you so wish. But I'm open. We have, a good 30 minutes left here if you want to ask me some questions or go over anything on your website. Did anyone learn anything new today at all that they haven't heard before, maybe? Yeah. Okay.
I think for me, Angela, it was like sprinkling testimonials throughout the website, because I kind of have some on my homepage, but I don't really think about putting them on my process page or like even on my blog page. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's a really good point, that people are going to click through different pages and to have that there. So thanks for that.
Yeah. And excuse me, I'm losing my voice. Just so you know, the about page is the second most popular page on a website. So it's really important to have that there. So it goes homepage first, of course, about page, and then like services, and of course contact me. So I would put them on all your pages. And somebody yesterday, I did present this yesterday to my networking group, and they asked me, well, is video better, or is written testimonials better? Video is better because it's, anyone can make up a testimonial and type it on their page, of course. Excuse me. Video is better, but for those folks that have short attention spans, I would have a mix of both. So even if you do have a video on there, I would take like a pull quote out from that video and just put it underneath as a sample of what they said, or a summary of what they said, just for the people that aren't going to take the time to watch the video. So at least you have some proof points for every type of, purchaser. So that's one thing to consider. It is harder to get video testimonials of your clients, but you can always incentivize it, give them some free thing, or a percentage off of their next project or something like that, if they'll give you a jump on to do a video testimonial with you, because I think they're becoming more popular now, of course, and they hold more weight as far as credibility goes. Yeah.
Angela, I had popped one in the chat there a little bit ago about stock photos above the fold, stock photos versus a photo of a business owner. Like, what do you feel? Is there pros and cons to both, or what do you recommend?
Yeah. So definitely, I did another presentation about this a while ago, but definitely people recognize when it's a stock photo and they stop paying attention. So you want to use real photos. Like, our brain just knows the difference. So you want to use real photos above the fold. That's one thing, of you or your business. So anything with a human in it versus like you don't want to use a photo of your building or something like that. It's not engaging. They do those heat maps, if you've seen the heat map technology that they do on websites. So they're mapping out where people are looking, And so they show that the really hot areas are when there's someone's face there. So versus the other things that are on the page. So make sure you have, showing the transformation of your work is good. Showing like you engaging with a client, something like that is really good. And the other thing to consider that it used to be popular a while ago, I don't see it so much anymore, thankfully, but those auto scrolling, picture images, like the carousel types that auto scroll, what happens there is we tend to ignore that altogether. Our brain just goes, nope, blanking that out. It's something called banner blindness. So, because we're back in the 90s and things like that, when the internet was a baby, we used to have these like flashing, remember those banner ads that were like flashing at us, scrolling at us, jumping at us. And we just learned to tune that out. We're like, oh, that's an ad. I'm just going to ignore that. So when you do that to your own website, it actually turns people off. You want to have one solid marketing message and put it on there and like, stand by it, right? You don't want so many things going on. If there's sales or whatever, or different things you want to talk about, put them on another section on your website. Don't do that scrolling thing. People are going to ignore it and you don't want that at all. So that's the other piece of advice, but that's a really good question. Thank you. And Rashi, I just saw the comments. So you wanted me to go back to a different slide. Which one was that? Is she still here? Let's see. Oh, you are.
I am here. Yeah, just the last slide that shows the 5 I think
Review.
I've reviewed over. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So I guess it is Control F on a PC as well. Thanks, Carrie.
Angela, I had a question.
Yes.
So from an SEO point of view, how often should a person refresh their website, and what does that mean? Like, let's say you're still having the same message after 2 years. Do you try to change your photos? Like, what could you do to make it still fresh for Google and for SEO?
Yeah. So, I mean, if your main marketing message is working, there's not much reason to change it, but to appear on Google, higher, more, and all that, you do want to keep adding stuff to it. So blogging is the best way. Yeah. So if you want to write like high value articles on there, also people like this, it has to be something that is actually like not junk. So people linking to your website and things like that. Also, as you write articles, and you're talking about different things, linking within your own articles to other articles you've written, that helps as well. But really it's always about testing. So if you've got something running in the background like Google Analytics, of course you're going to want to keep looking at that and seeing what works as far as marketing messages go, because there's no like, and Lindsay can talk to this, there's no magic bullet in marketing, right? Not like oh, just do this and it'll work. It's like testing. It's like, this is our best guess right now. This is what we want to convey, and put it out there and see what works. But, if you're taking a step back from all this, you want to, of course, start with strategy, right? Start with deeply understanding your client and the words that they use and the things you keep hearing on repeat. And that's going to help you create that marketing message that really sticks, right? Versus you trying to just figure it out on your own. So always advocate starting with strategy, starting with getting to know your client, getting to know your competition, that you're saying something different from them, that you're offering something different, because better is not better at all. It's actually just the same, because it's just this game of like one upping each other, but different. If you do something someone doesn't do or can't do, well, now that stands out, right? And you can charge a premium for that. So doing that competitive analysis and that customer research and all that is going to help you with what you're going to, display on your website. Does that answer your question? Or
Yep.
did you have a follow up? Yeah. Yeah.
I have a question. I've noticed that on some websites, if you go to like the services section or about us, there's often like a video from like the owner or, someone providing a service. Like, do people actually watch those? Or do they kind of just are like, oh yeah, another video and kind of scroll past it?
Yeah, good question. So some people watch them, but more than that, I think video helps put you Like if it's hosted on YouTube or something like that.
Hmm.
YouTube videos always come up first when you're Googling stuff. So it's a good way to like just rank
Oh.
your website higher anyway. So yeah, I think people do look at that, especially if it's short and sweet and
Mm-hmm.
maybe has some humor in it, or it shows your brand personality. I think they do watch that, but yeah, more than anything, it'll help you come up for, especially if you do this strategically and you make the video about that number one thing that people are searching for and that you can help them with. That's your thing, right? So it'll come up higher. And I wrote an article about this on my website. Video helps you rank higher in Google searches. So that's another thing that, yeah, I didn't mention for the last question, is if you do that, it'll just help your website overall. But
Like, does it help in the educational side of things? Like, say you offer a particular service, like would people watch like a series, like kind of geared to not just the company itself, but like particular services you would provide as explanations, especially if, you have to use a lot, or you don't have to, but a lot of jargon that people don't understand, like maybe it would help them understand like a service that they don't know much about.
Yeah, as long as it's focused on them and like what they're getting out of it, right?
Right.
There's value in explaining your service. Like I've done this before on video as well, just like briefly explaining your service, but I wouldn't overwhelm them with all the gory details of
Right.
everything. Just
Okay.
like always thinking of it, what's through the lens of what's in it for them, what can they get
Mhm.
out of this they're going to find valuable, and
Okay.
putting it out that way. I think there's of course there's all kinds of different learners out there, right?
Mhm.
There's people who like to read, people who like video. So if you can do it more than one way, I think you're going to capture more of an audience that way.
Okay.
But I definitely think there is a place for that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. And speaking of video, so I have this free guide for you guys. If you want to grab this with your phone, you can just scan that code. It goes into these points that we talked about, and there's also more in there. And there's one section about how to create a video for your site. And it's more of a like explainer video, what you do and how you solve the problem and stuff like that. But there's actually 10 steps for a homepage framework that I use with my clients, and it goes through everything. It's 30 pages. So I tried to break it down in really simple to use format that you can go through to just, if you're redesigning your homepage or you just want to tweak some areas, you don't have to use all 10 parts of the framework, but you can go through them one by one and just see, how your homepage ranks and measures up. And if there's some things you can tweak. So that's for you guys for free if you would like to grab that now. And I will keep taking more questions, but I just want to also quickly put this in here as well before we're off to the races. So for anyone here today, I have 15% off my Brand Boost VIP days, and that offer expires on the 18th. So if you want to take advantage of that, and there's no strings attached, you can hop on a free fit call with me if you just want to learn more about it. But if you do want to hire me for any kind of branding package, I am offering 15% off anyone here today. So I mostly work with founders, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs like you guys. I help them elevate their brand, find out what makes them special, and just really wrap everything around that. I came up with a process after understanding how much people struggled with a rebrand with working with an agency, because it's hard to rebrand a business and still run a business and all the downtime you have when you're doing that. So I changed things up, and I'm able to provide a tailored strategy and design with a quicker turnaround time. So we're talking more like 2 to 4 weeks, depending on what we're doing, versus months and months. I just talked to somebody yesterday who's like, "Oh, I wish I knew you did this. We just spent 9 months working on our rebrand." And I was like, "Oh, yikes. I remember those days, but I don't do that anymore." So there's no templates or anything like that either. It's fully customized. And the nice part about it is there's no annoying back and forth for changes. That's the VIP day part of it. That's the launch day where you get my undivided attention for edits and changes. We get it all done in a day and it's all launched and off you go. So my process is, one, we hop on a fit call. We chat about if we're a good fit, what your challenges are. And then the second part is we step into a brainstorm session. So that's a deep dive to understand your goals. We audit your brand and we create a solid project plan, because most people that come to me do not have a solid project plan, and then things go sideways. So that has value in and of itself, because you have that solid plan. You can even execute on your own if you wanted to do that. The next step is the brand boost. So that is where we do a two-part situation there. So it's the strategy for your business. We do all that competitive research. We help you craft your ideal client avatar. We help you craft your packages, help you with your pricing. And then I run with that and I create those tailored brand assets for you. And then on the VIP launch day, that's when I reveal everything to you. You'll have my, like I say, my undivided attention. You provide your feedback. And that's when we finalize all your branding, launch into the world so you can keep going about your day and selling out your services like hotcakes. So if you're curious about that, you can go to my website, BeBoldBranding.com, or just scan this code and schedule a free fit call. I'm happy to talk to anyone here. No obligation, no strings attached. Just hop on a chat with me if you want to talk about anything. So awesome. Well, does anyone have any other questions for me? I'm happy to answer them before we hop off. Otherwise, I can just leave these screens up for you if you want. I'll put this back if you would like to grab that free guide if you haven't had a chance. Oh, hey, Ria, I just saw you there.
Hello.
How's it going?
Good. Glad I could make it.
Awesome. Well, we get 10 minutes of your life back if there's no more questions. But I'm here if you need anything. You can just email me, Angela at BeBoldBranding, and I'm happy to answer your questions. Grab the free guide. I think it'll help. And yeah, have a wonderful rest of your week.
Thanks, Angela. That was great.
Yeah,
Thank you so
you're welcome,
much.
Kira.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was awesome, Angela. Thanks.
No worries. Thanks, Cheska. Hey, Rashi.
Hi,
Good to
Ange.
see you.
How's it going?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, thank you. Sorry, I jumped in a little bit late.
Yeah, no worries. I'm so happy you came. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I didn't want to have you go over the last 3 steps or the first 3 steps, sorry, because I missed that part. But I was
I
hoping
can
that
send you this.
okay.
Yeah, I can
Did
send
you?
you the slides, and there's tons of information on them. So,
Okay.
well, here we have 10 minutes here. Let me see. Yeah, I'll send you the
Thanks,
slides.
Gwen,
There's
did you?
like 30 slides on here, so I'll just send it to you on your email. I've got it.
Okay,
Hey,
perfect.
Jessica.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, no worries. How's things been going for you?
Good, keeping busy. I had a lot of events going on in the summer, not necessarily